Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. What does Paramount have to worry about? They just lost an anti-white discrimination lawsuit. They were forced to settle because they knew what they were doing was wrong. They tried to have the lawsuit dismissed, but the judge would not dismiss the lawsuit. From The Hollywood Reporter, CBS settles discrimination lawsuit over alleged racial quotas for hiring TV writers. They had a racial quota. The racial quota was, we're only going to hire the people that look a certain way, have a certain sexual preference. We're not hiring anyone else. They thought they could get away with that. They tried to get this lawsuit dismissed. CBS loses bid to dismiss lawsuit from SEAL Team writer over alleged racial quotas for hiring writers. They had quotas. The quotas really were, they're going to discriminate any way they want to because they thought they had a first right. They said this literally in court. They thought they had a First Amendment right to discriminate against anyone they wanted to because they were producing creative work. Sure, a TV show, even a bad TV show or a bad movie is a creative work, but that doesn't mean you can automatically discriminate against certain people because you don't like their skin color. There are a lot more creative works out there than just TV shows and movies. Any kind of art, any kind of writing, things that go beyond that. Now, Harvard is claiming they have creative expression on how they tell their viewpoint, and they're suing the administration based on a First Amendment claim. You can make a First Amendment claim, a First Amendment defense. It doesn't mean you get to discriminate against people because you feel like it or because you have an agenda to discriminate against people. That's your First Amendment right under the Constitution. That's why Paramount was ultimately forced to pay off the plaintiff and settle the lawsuit. Coming from Deadline, SEAL Team DEI discrimination lawsuit settled. Details of deal between CBS and Trump aides America First Legal Foundation, Stephen Miller, kept secret and under wraps, which is normal in a settlement. You have a non-disclosure agreement so no one gets embarrassed. And they certainly have that one here. Obviously, the guy got some money. With the countdown for David Ellison and Skydance's takeover of Paramount, the behind-the-scenes battle over the SEAL Team and the power of inclusion policies at CBS has come to an end. A federal judge on Monday approved a joint request from CBS Studios and former SEAL Team script coordinator Brian Beneker to dismiss the year-old case. Beneker, who is white, and he's straight, and they had a problem with that, sued in February 2024, claiming he wasn't giving a permanent gig on the David Moran's-led series due to his race, sex, and heterosexuality and the illegal policy they had of diversity, equity, and inclusion measures. Even though Paramount had already made it public that SEAL Team was coming to an end in late 2024, Beneker was looking in his suit to get $500,000 in alleged lost wages and an injunction requiring defendants, that would be Paramount, to offer plaintiff, that would be Beneker, a full-time job as a producer. And that's fine. He was entitled to it. They should give it to him. They didn't give him an opportunity he was entitled to at least try to get, so they should give it to him, even if they have to say, look, we can't continue this show, but you did earn this, you do deserve this, and we'll compensate you with that and with money. Doesn't mean they were going to keep the show going for the guy. No one was asking for that. Just give the guy some respect and stop discriminating against him because he's straight and he's white. Now the U.S. District Judge has offered the last word on SEAL Team, which saw its last episode air on Paramount Plus on October 6th last year. Quote, on April 18th, 2025, Plaintiff Brian Beneker and defendant CBS Studios and Paramount Global filed a joint stipulation for dismissal with prejudice, which means that they agreed to end the claims here. They will not bring additional claims. They will not bring this case back to court. These claims are settled, they say. Having considered the parties' joint stipulation for dismissal with prejudice, the files and records of this action and other matters properly submitted to the court, and good cause appearing therefore, it is hereby ordered, he says, that the parties' joint stipulation for dismissal with prejudice is granted. This entire action is dismissed with prejudice. Each party shall bear their own attorney's fees and costs, which is part of the settlement, according to the two-page order posted on the Central District of California's court docket. First revealed late last week in court, the settlement ends the matter completely with both sides seemingly picking up their respective tabs. America First Legal has been so successful with breaking woke corporations and getting people to pull back illegal policies that they have received millions and millions of dollars in funding. Tremendous amounts of money. It's like a ACLU, but for normal people. With all of that success, they don't need the money from Paramount to cover their legal fees. All of the money collected from Paramount, I'm sure, is going to Brian Beneker the guy who had to bring the lawsuit. While details were kept confidential, it does seem there was some payout to freelance writer Brian Beneker in the deal. That payment supposedly was not particularly large. It also seems that there were no rollbacks in CBS's DEI policies as part of the settlement. That is something that would go beyond the scope of this lawsuit. Even if they asked for something like that in the lawsuit, yes, they also probably did not name him a producer of a show that no longer exists. That's being handled at a different level. At least they got rid of this person, Marva Smalls. Marva Smalls used to be in charge of their diversity department over there. She was a vice president of Paramount, if you can believe it or not. This is from Paramount's website. Marva Smalls on leading with diversity. Quote, the business case for diversity is this. You can't survive without it. Well, actually, they couldn't survive with it, which is why they were forced essentially to merge with another company to remain viable. She's had to leave, and now they're getting rid of it. Being kicked out of her role from Hollywood Reporter, Paramount Global Head of Inclusion, moving into a new role working with Office of CEO and Skydance. She's part of the transition, which is to say, they're giving her no authority, they're giving her no power. She's not allowed to run around the company anymore and push diversity policies and non-merit-based policies on producing content and doing hiring. They're done with all of that now, and they're done with her. Quote, Paramount Global and CBS Studios have agreed to a settlement in a lawsuit America First Legal brought on behalf of our client Brian Beneker, according to America First Legal. Quote, America First Legal is pleased to see Paramount and CBS publicly back off their DEI requirements and return to merit-based considerations. Diversity quotas that discriminate on the basis of race are unlawful. Others in the entertainment industry should take notice. To that, in a realpolitik Donald Trump 2.0 environment where several media companies and platforms have been stripping away inclusion measures that they once bragged about, CBS Studios had no comment on the settlement or the case today when contacted by Deadline. In many ways, whatever the particulars of the settlement, it is really no surprise that CBS made a deal and walked away. Certainly, the fact that CBS lost its bid last August before Judge Walter, and we will look at that, to have the case tossed out put a strain on the company even before Trump won the election and returned to office. And on top of all this, Trump has sued CBS for $20 billion over an interview with rival Kamala Harris that aired on 60 Minutes last fall. And in what is probably a related story from Deadline, 60 Minutes executive producer Bill Owens resigns, saying he lost his ability to make independent decisions about the show. I wonder if this has to do with the settlement with Trump. Most likely it does. And this is the absolute key of the case. When CBS was unable to get a judge to agree that they had a right to dismiss the case immediately without even going through discovery, without even looking at records and talking to people about what was going on at the company and how they made their decisions, when they couldn't get a judge to agree that, sure, they have a right to discriminate against people just because they make TV shows, like that is their argument, that was the beginning of the end for them. From The Hollywood Reporter, CBS loses bid to dismiss lawsuit from SEAL Team writer over alleged racial quotas for hiring writers. And they are alleged, and it's fine to say that, but of course they had these quotas. And it was worse than quotas. It was, we're not going to hire you if you have this skin color or you have this sexual preference. Paramount claimed that its shows constitute artistic speech and that it's allowed to choose the writers who convey its message. The court's order referenced another judge advancing a similar discrimination lawsuit from Gina Carano against Disney and Lucasfilm, because Disney and Lucasfilm did the same kind of thing to Gina Carano. She didn't have a viewpoint that they liked, so they decided they would fire her from her series. That lawsuit, funded by Elon Musk, is going forward. This is what the judge said. In an order, rebuffed parent company Paramount's bid to dismiss their case. He found that certain issues, like whether the First Amendment affords productions broad protections in choosing talent for their movies and TV shows, would be more appropriately resolved at a later stage in the litigation. Let's look at the records. Let's see what the records actually say, not what you're just saying. And then let's consider the First Amendment in all this. Do you really have a right to discriminate against people just because of their skin color, because you're making a creative work? Do you really have that right? Because according to the judge, no, of course you may not have that right. You probably actually don't have that right. Creative expression is not an excuse to discriminate against people. His ruling was issued without oral arguments, which is to say there was no one even talking and trying to make a case in court. The judge decided it on their own on the papers and filings that were submitted by both sides. and cited another judge's decision to advance a discrimination lawsuit from Gina Carano against Disney and Lucasfilm over her firing from The Mandalorian. The court in that case rejected arguments that the actress's claims are barred on free speech grounds, finding that she may have been terminated in retaliation for holding disfavored political beliefs. Which, of course she was. I mean, they have to go through the case, but yeah, if you know the case, you know she was. Disney claimed the same thing in its defense, that they're entitled to select the people who convey the message in their content. On one level, I completely agree with them. Being in the creative industry, when you create things, you do want to hire the people that you think you gel with and you can work with and can convey your message. You're not the actor, so if I come up with an idea for a movie, I'm not going to probably act it out. I'm going to get an actor involved. I'm going to get another writer involved. There are a lot of creative people that have to get involved to be able to produce a creative expression, a finished TV show, a finished movie, a comic book. That said, you're not going to go ahead and exclude people just because they're not gay or just because they're straight or just because they're bisexual or because they have lots of pronouns or whatever. You don't exclude people or include people based on immutable characteristics or religion or anything like that. Let's see their work. You judge people based on their work. Specifically, when they argued to try to get the case dismissed, CBS claimed broad First Amendment protections. They said that even if Banneker's claims, the writer, that he was repeatedly passed over for a writing role because the studio chose to prioritize diversity are true. The company said that it's on solid legal ground. They said this, quote, limiting CBS's ability to select the writers of its choice, as Banneker seeks to do here, unconstitutionally impairs CBS's ability to shape its message, according to Molly Lenz, a lawyer for the studio in a court filing. Molly continued, quote, because CBS's works are expressive, CBS has the right to select employees whose work affects that expression. The First Amendment is actually something like sacred to the United States. Even in other Western countries, they don't have the First Amendment. To use something like that as a shield so that you can discriminate against people, Molly, I hope she really believes this because this is something that's pretty deep and dark. It's not something you use to try to get out of a lawsuit because you discriminate against the guy because he's not gay. I mean, you really, that is a pretty low down thing to do. Unless maybe she and her client really believe it, but I don't trust that. The First Amendment is not a game. Your constitutional rights are not a game. Yes, there can be certain legal defenses, and I understand people trying to create legal defenses to support their client, but you have to sometimes look at what you're doing and consider the ethics of it. For me, it's unethical for Paramount to make that claim, and I don't know how their lawyers could support it because this is really pretty bad. No, they weren't discriminating because they wanted to create a special creative expression that a white guy could not do, that a straight guy could not do. Were they all gay stories in SEAL Team? I didn't watch SEAL Team. Maybe they were all gay stories by people who are not white. I don't know what they did, but it's wrong. And that's why they settled. They knew they couldn't win this lawsuit, and it's over for them now. And it's over for the rest of Hollywood trying to push this nonsense. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you. Yes, you.